Hey friend, welcome back to Living Well-Rounded. I hope you're having a fantastic day. We are going to shift gears a bit for today's episode. We're going to discuss social media, which is a topic that has yet to be discussed here on Living Well-Rounded. I'll be honest, I'm not the biggest fan of social media at all. My friends and my family, they will tell you that I just really don't like social media. I like real life interaction. However, if you're like myself, we cannot deny the many blessings that can come by way of social media, such as connections, relationship building, a break from the real world every now and again, and just being a great marketing tool for small business owners. So I invited our guest, social media strategist Katie Love, on the show to share her years of expertise on all things social media. We dive deep into do's and don'ts and tips to help you rock it out on the gram. Are you ready to level up your social media skills and presence? Then you're in the right place. Hang tight. Hey there, friend. Welcome to the Living Well-Rounded podcast, a curated space for those of us seeking an intentional life filled with grace, passion, and purpose. I'm your hostess, Geomyra, wife, mama, life and biz coach, educator, dessert fanatic, and on the ultimate mission to get you closer to your idea of what it means to live well-rounded. Right here is where you'll find exceptional resources, noteworthy tips, community, and relatable stories, no matter what season of life you're in. Take a break, cozy up, hang out with me for a bit, and let's dive in. All right, friend, I am about to invite Katie to the mic, but before I do that, I want to read her expert bio. So Katie is an expert social media strategist and the founder of Love Social Media. She's helped numerous businesses turn followers into real leads and sales. Katie started her career working on TV stations across the country, covering high-profile murder cases, natural disasters, and presidential elections. As a news reporter, she learned to tell stories and now uses her ability to share information in an engaging way with her clients. Her business, Love Social Media, was recently named the top 10 social media agencies to watch in 2021 by Yahoo Finance. Katie currently resides in Florida with her husband, Aaron, and her daughter, Adley. Welcome, Katie, to the show. Hi, Katie. How are you?
I'm doing great. I recently moved to Florida, so enjoying the sunshine. How are you?
I'm good, and it's actually like the perfect fall day here in DC, so I will take it. I will take it. Where are you relocating from?
Pittsburgh.
Oh.
So going from all the seasons to none of the seasons.
That's it. It's a big difference.
It is, but I grew up here and it's close to family. And after having a daughter, I just really wanted to, be near my dad and my sisters.
I love it. Family first, always. Well, we know where you live. We know you have a daughter, but can you tell us a little bit more about yourself, your company, and all the things that you have going on?
Absolutely. So I started my career as a TV news reporter. It's what I grew up, even from a young girl, thinking this is what I want to do. And I traveled across the country working for different TV stations, covering crime, politics, natural disasters. And about 6 or 7 years in, I really realized the way people were consuming news was more instantaneous. Of course, news will always be important, but the value of social media became really apparent. So about 2 weeks before starting a new news reporter job, I quit.
Oh, wow.
Yes. So this was a huge pivot and life decision. And I suddenly had clarity that I was ready to walk away from all of it. And I decided to go out on my own and start my company, Love Social Media.
Wow, that is so brave, especially when you had a new job on the horizon and you were ready to step into a new position. And then you're like, know what? I'm going to pivot and do something that brings me joy, which I am all about. And so you are a social media strategist, as you just mentioned, and I am a business coach. And I have dozens of clients and friends who just don't like social media. I'm raising my hand, very high, but a lot of people don't say that I don't like social media. I'm one of the people that will say it, but I respect the importance of it. And it has been a blessing for me in other ways. But I'm curious to know, what advice would you give someone that is feeling the overwhelm of social media, trying to keep up with all the platforms and all the things?
So, number one, it can be definitely a shared feeling of stress and overwhelm when it comes to social. But what we have to remember is that it's the best way to communicate, especially when we saw the pandemic, and suddenly we couldn't be face to face. So, if you own a business or a brand, it is a must. But something to think about is how can you have fun? And that sounds crazy, right? Like, how can you have fun during social? But finding something that brings you joy, like you said, and focusing on it. If you try to do all the things at the same time, that can be very overwhelming. So start small. Pick one thing a week that you want to accomplish. So maybe your goal, and you feel like your target audience is on Instagram and you're really inconsistent with posting. You'll post a lot for a few months and then you'll go dead silent after that. So maybe your goal is to consistently post 2 times a week for 3 months. That way people know what they can expect from you, that you're showing up on the platform consistently. So having small goals like that you can then hit and then move the target. And so maybe the next goal is, I want to try Reels, which is a new emerging, really popular way to communicate through video. And so then maybe your goal is, I want to do 1 reel a month. And so kind of taking it step by step versus looking at it from the big picture and just saying, I can't even jump in because there's so many things I have to do.
It's funny you mentioned Reels, because that is one thing that really had me say, all right, she definitely has to be on the podcast because she kills it with Reels. They're so entertaining. But the biggest thing is they're very informational. I learned something by watching your Reels, and to your point, you make it look like it's fun. So it doesn't look like you're working, even though I know you are. But I just love how you are showing your personality. You're showing how you can use that platform to educate and to also show people that you are an expert. And so if you are someone like myself, who, again, I shy away from social media, especially if it's video or camera, I'm like, no, thank you. But how do we get comfortable with the new tools and all the things that are coming to be, especially on Instagram? You just mentioned Reels, which is a great example. But how do I now jump into Reels? Like, what's the tea on that, Katie?
Well, it's never too late to start. And I'll be honest, I was intimidated by Reels, which you wouldn't think. I have this career of being on camera and speaking in front of people. And suddenly I just froze. I thought, how do I show up on this platform? And I want to be taken seriously. So it's not that I'm not a dancer, but it's not authentic to me to be dancing around, right? So how do I, as a professional woman who is seeing the value in showing up on videos, how do I turn that around and make it something that I can use? And I think that if we think about who we are and what we offer, and being able to get that across on social. So I'm a strategist. I want to give people tips about how to grow their following and grow their business through social media. So I go back to the basics of what I tell my clients every day. And then I thought about how I'm going to translate that in a reel. So it's consumable, snackable content that is fun to watch and is not like I'm preaching at them, but suddenly you watch 15 seconds and you're like, oh, I just realized I now can do this and I learned this. So what can you offer to your audience that you're an expert at, that you can do in a fun way? So I think just like going back to the value of what you offer is super helpful.
Oh, that's so good. I love the idea of snackable content. I literally wrote that down. and the importance of highlighting that you're the expert. We go on social because we're feeling like we need to keep up. I know for myself, I took a break on social, but then you're like, I'm losing followers. And so I need to just stay on this hamster wheel. But you made a great point that if it's very much intentional and you are teaching people, they'll be around waiting for you to get the next bit of information so that they can implement it in their business and whatnot. So I think that is awesome. And so I just mentioned that like I said, was not on social for a bit, and that hurt my engagement somewhat. But for someone that is on and they're consistent and whatnot, I have had clients that feel like they're not moving the needle forward. They're not getting the followers and the engagement. So what are some things that stand out that are red flags that may be hurting your engagement?
So that's a great question. Everyone's always looking to boost their engagement. And I think that if you've got the consistency down, that's number one. Then you have to look at the content portion of what you're doing. Is it interesting? Is it entertaining people? Is it informing your audience? And what I say is go into your analytics, look at the insights. If you look at the last 6 months, what were your top 3 performing posts? So what's interesting about my audience, and I'll just use my brand as an example, is when I look at my top performing post, obviously number 1 is my baby girl, because everyone wants to see pictures of her, but I can't post baby pictures all the time, even though I definitely would. But number 2, I noticed that it was empowering quotes for other female entrepreneurs that they read and felt like, yes, I'm going to go slay the day. I'm going to go accomplish what I want to accomplish. Those quotes had really high shares. And so the way that, really molded my strategy moving forward is adding more quotes. So you might look at your top 3 or top 6 posts from the last 6 months and see something you didn't realize. Maybe video is performing better than you thought and you want to jump on that. Maybe it's your quotes, maybe it's your carousel photos, having 3 or 4 more pictures in there sometimes really boosts engagement. The other thing is that I always say this, to get the love, you got to give the love. So you can't expect to just post and not get anything back or get comments and likes back if you're not engaging with your community. So spending time on the app, commenting, liking, really authentically engaging with people inside of your community or your target audience is going to help you move the needle.
Oh, that's so good, because you're right. I will try to, comment and like and do all the things. And I pay attention to the people that comment and like on mine. So I definitely try to do the same and show them some love and support, because they actually stop to take the time to do the same for me. And so I just think if we all just spread the love all around, everybody wins. So that's such a great point there. And also love the tip of the quotes. I try to do like a Monday motivation type of thing when I am active on social. And you're right, people will repost it, they'll share it, it'll be something that I'll see move it around when I am consistent with being positive and putting all that kind of stuff out there. So such great tips there. So Katie, what tools are your favorites for managing social media and planning out your content?
I have tried every scheduler in the sun, and I'm not sponsored by later.com, but they are my favorite. We manage all 30 of our clients on the platform. You can use the free version, which gives you up to 30 posts a month. So it's really accessible. And then if you do want to do the paid version, it's maybe like $15 a month. So it's pretty cheap. But the reason I like it is that it's really visual. So for Instagram in particular, you're able to see your feed ahead of time. So it looks branded and authentic, and maybe you want to move a graphic or a photo around, you get analytics. It's a drag and drop platform. So that's one of our favorites. The other one that we love that a lot of people don't know about is Metricool. Metricool is an analytics platform. A lot of them can be really expensive. I'm talking about like $500 or $600 a month. And Metricool is $10 or $15. You get these really amazing graphics. It gives you an overview of your audience, who you're talking to, who you're connecting with, your top performing content, the hashtags that are resonating with people. You can even look at your competitors to see what their engagement is like versus your engagement. So having a scheduler, analytics tool, and then the third one I would say is everyone knows about Canva, and Canva is amazing. But to add a little extra, I would say, zhuzh to your stories, we love the apps In Stories and Mojo. Mojo is Mojo. They create really amazing animations. The templates can be moving, like your photos in and out. The fonts are really fun. So I think those four are my favorite. And I actually have one more. Okay, I'm full of tools because we use them on the daily.
Give them
The
to
last one,
Let's
yeah, the
go
last
on
one is Splice. Splice is an easy editor. I come from a video editing background. I've used Final Cut. The women on my team are not editors, but they have found that Splice is really easy when we're trying to put two or more clips of videos together. If you want to add transitions, or maybe in between the videos you want to see like a blur or a fade, and so that's our favorite editing tool.
Oh, these are so good. And I'm familiar with Mojo. I use that one every now and again. And I'm definitely going to check out, what do you say, Metra Cool and
Yeah.
Splice and all the things there. And I'm going to share them in our show notes. So I got you guys covered there. So you can also check out Katie's tools and resources, because we're all going to be up leveling as we get into a new year. So I love that. I love that. So let's switch gears a bit, because your company also, you guys deal with influencers and marketing and whatnot. And so I'm curious to know there, how would one get started dabbling in the influencer space, since it's such a popular thing right now, and there's lots of money that can be made if it's done right. So how do we get started, Katie, getting into that space?
So I think a lot of people see the glamour of being an influencer. And maybe for you and I, who are moms, I remember the first time I saw a woman say she got her entire Disney trip paid for, just
Okay.
just to talk. I know, just to talk about Disney. And I had this moment, I was like, ooh, I'm in the wrong business. This is cool. But, but when you take a step back, you realize that the work that goes into it. And I think that when emerging influencers don't realize is that it is time consuming and you've got to make the commitment. So I have a friend who is a beauty blogger, and she also left her job as a news reporter and just loved all things makeup. She's so talented at doing her makeup, but she was starting from zero, right? She had no followers, no platform. And what she did was really commit to posting like 3 or 4 high quality videos a week. She invested in a nice camera. She taught herself how to edit. And every week, that she would be doing these reviews on certain product lines, and she wasn't getting paid for it. But she knew what she was talking about, very smart, very knowledgeable. And then she started to build her following. And so people were relying on her if something new came out or they wanted a lipstick to go to her page. And once she got to, 10,000 followers, she was able to start charging. So the one thing that I will say on the other end of it, when we're looking for influencers, people have become like, we had a woman, we were trying to connect them with a kitchen brand. She has 2,000 followers. She asked for $400 for a feed post. And good for you for trying to get that money. I'm all about women getting money. But if you don't have a lot of followers, you've never had a brand partnership, consider doing the first round in exchange for product, build up your portfolio, and then you can start charging that money.
Mhm.
Because if you don't have examples of brand partnerships that you've done, it's going to be difficult to start charging more. The other thing that is really helpful is using platforms like Obviously, and I'm of course blanking on them, but if you Google influencer platforms, you can put all your information into them, whether you have kids, whether you have pets, and then they can start to connect you with brands. And because when I had a kid, I was like, well, you know what? I could get some free stuff for her. So I inputted myself into like this system, and now I get offers. Like her high chair was for free and in exchange for posting. So just kind of putting yourself out there is best.
Oh, wow. That's such great advice there. And I'm definitely going to be looking into the platform you mentioned as well, because I love how you said, good for you trying to get that money, girl, but reel it in, reel it in. But I do respect the fact that you have to do the work and prove yourself, and definitely show people that you are, for exchange, you're able to bring some business to them. I mean, it's a give and take relationship there. So that makes total sense. And so you, as you mentioned, you're a mom, I'm a mom, and we are very, very busy. And so I am curious to know, as far as social media and planning and doing all the things, how does having a plan and making sure you know what you're posting and all that, how does that help on a day-to-day basis so that you can make time for the things that matter most? Because again, we're all still trying to market and put our business out there and whatnot, but it's time consuming, but we don't have a lot of time. So how does one manage and we don't use the word balance on the show, but how does one make it all happen without, sacrificing too much?
I love that you don't use balance because it's never there and has never been there for me.
No.
But I will say that if you can devote, like I ask my clients, can you give 1 hour, like 1 hour a week or every other week, when you're in this creative mindset, when you're, feeling like the ideas are coming, and you take 1 hour to plan out that week's post or the next 2 weeks, you can be amazed at how much content you can knock out when you're batching. And something that I do is during the week, I'll save trending audio from reels. I'll write in my notes ideas that I have. And then on a day that I'm feeling inspired, I batch, I start shooting maybe 4 or 5 videos that I can use for later. The problem that we get into is if we wait for the creativity and we don't have anything planned, then you're feeling stressed. Like, oh, I haven't posted in a few days. I need to post. But what do I post? I don't know. And then what happens? You don't end up posting.
Me, raise his hand.
Yes. So taking the time to not put your pressure on yourself for that day to be posting, but maybe you're saying, okay, next week I'm going to come out strong and I'm going to schedule on later or plan or Hootsuite or whatever scheduler you love, or even the back end of Facebook now has a great scheduler. And I'm going to, write up my captions, schedule my photos or videos, and then you can walk away, right? You can be done.
So true. And I've done that. And to your point, I work better when I batch and I'm in the zone. And instead of every day opening up the app, trying to piecemeal it together, I'll try to post. And especially if you're a person that posts during the weekday, I'm not on social on the weekend. It's really not that many posts when you really break it down. If you're posting 2 to 3 times a week, it's only 4 weeks in a month. It's not a lot of content you really need to put out there. So I try to think of it as, bite size, as you mentioned, and not the overwhelm of, oh gosh, I need all of this stuff for the month. You really don't when you break it down. It's not as daunting. So stop with the excuses, you guys. Come join me and we're going to get our plan together. That is the goal. And so, Katie, I mentioned earlier, we do not use the word balance here on the show. However, you are running a business, you have a team, you're a mom, and all the things. And so what is your definition of living well-rounded? What does that look like for you?
That's a great question. Again, coming in with all these, well formulated questions. I feel like that living well-rounded means being present when I'm doing a certain task. So whether that is watching my daughter, put the same spoon in the bowl 30 times and just watching her develop and grow, and I'm present and I'm not on my phone and I'm not working. But when I'm in work mode, okay, doors closed, no one's coming in here. I'm getting, what I need to done for the day. I'm having my team meetings and I'm present in my work and being a boss. And at the beginning of becoming a mom, I was not, I felt like I was failing in both because I was not present in either. When I was with my baby, all I could do was think about work. And when I was, working, all I could do was think about my daughter. So, and it's not that I still don't feel that way. I still feel torn and it's still extremely hard, but I just try to really split up my day where I'm spending, the first few hours of her waking up at 5 a.m. to 9 a.m. and I'm with her, but then 9 to 5, it's like mommy steps into her office and she does not exist. Right. Mom is not here.
Right.
And I'm working and I'm grinding. And, some moms really don't have the luxury of having care. Something that's a little bit unique about our story is that my husband, who used to be a news reporter, left his career to watch our daughter. Just financially, it made more sense. My business is really thriving. He has, the passion to be with her and to help her develop. And frankly, a lot of people still don't get it. And it's very sexist. And you wouldn't think that it would be, but it's you're like nodding your head, but it is.
No, it's funny because I have a few friends in the creative space where they're running these amazing businesses. They're serving people so well and they're making money on top of money. And their spouse, partner, husband, whatever, quits the job to hold down the fort. And it's funny that I'm seeing it more and more each and every day. And so my husband always joked that that's his dream job, to be a stay-at-home dad. He was like, I would switch roles in a heartbeat. And so it's just amazing that if you're the person in the season in your family that is able to make the money financially, but there's someone else that can provide the support, that's a match. That's to me the definition of a partnership. You stepping up and stepping into your space for the better good of the team. And I think that is awesome that you guys are able to do that.
Thank you. I really appreciate it. It's really worked out. And I think the other thing that we've both been open to is maybe at one point he feels like he wants to step back into his career, and that's okay too, right? Nothing's final. But at this point, he's loving spending time with her, and no one better to take care of. Well, I really hate, this is a side note, when people are like, "Oh, my husband's babysitting."
Oh, that is not. My mom told me that years ago. You can't babysit your own kids. She used to say that. You cannot babysit your own kids. They're yours.
Right. Correct. It's crazy.
Oh man. So what are you most looking forward to in this next season of your life?
Well, number one, watching my daughter grow. She's starting to say more words, and I'm just constantly amazed about my feelings about being a mother and just her developing. And then I won't even say number two, I'll say 1A is scaling my team. So 2 years ago, there were only 2 of us. Now there's 7 of us full time. And I never could have imagined that I would be responsible for other people's salaries and livelihood. But here I am, and it's working and we're growing. So I'm looking forward to seeing, how we can scale even more and service more women. We mostly work with female entrepreneurs and helping them grow their business through social media. And it's really helped fulfill something I wasn't sure. Leaving the news where you feel like you're doing some sort of service by giving people information. I didn't know if I was going to fill that again, but it does feel filled in my life because I'm helping other women, grow and scale their businesses too.
I love that so much. And that's congratulations on the growth and just where your company is headed and all the work that you are doing. That is awesome. Awesome. Awesome.
Thank you. Thank you.
So, Katie, we are going to move into the rapid fire this or that segment of our show. And so I have a few questions for you. You just answer the first thing that comes to mind so we can get to know you a little bit better on a more personal level. Are you ready?
Yes, I am.
All right. The question that I love asking is, if you could hire a personal chef, a once a week cleaning service, or a personal driver, which would it be?
Definitely a chef. I despise cooking, and
Wow.
I'm like, I can't justify spending 30 minutes making a meal that takes me 5 minutes to eat. I don't know why, like it just doesn't compute. So chef all day.
That is hilarious. I love cooking when the time I do. I love cooking and baking, but I never thought about it like that.
All
So,
about the productivity.
oh
Yeah.
my God, I've never thought about it like that. If you could work with any celebrity, who would it be?
I love Reese Witherspoon.
Mm.
She is someone who has really broken down barriers for women in the entertainment industry. She, just like for a little background, she finds these scripts from female authors, and she's really created more spaces for female actresses to have lead roles and not just be the wife or the side part. And so then she launched her company, Hello Sunshine, and I'm just amazed at everything that she continues to do. So she would be my dream partnership.
I have yet to meet a person who doesn't like Reese Witherspoon. She's like everything, and I'm loving the morning show and all the other stuff that she's has launched through the pandemic. So she's definitely a treat to watch as well. So, Netflix or YouTube?
Netflix, 100%. I feel like YouTube's a little bit of the Wild West, and I like to have my, recommended shows of where, Netflix Big Brother is like watching everything I'm consuming, and then they're telling me what else I can watch.
Yeah, YouTube is a great way to put it. Wow, wow, West. It is definitely an adventure, and you can go down a rabbit hole very quickly
Yes.
on YouTube. So, European vacay or a Caribbean getaway?
Wow. Okay. Well, European vacay before kids, Caribbean vacay after kids.
I totally
But
get it.
yeah, I mean, now that I'm in Miami, the beach is less like it's so accessible. I'm dying to get back to Europe and to travel and to be around different cultures. And I'll final answer European vacation.
I hear you. I'm right with you. I'm craving a trip to Europe. It has been too long, feeling like we've, just been stagnant, but I can't wait. Can't wait. Do you have a favorite candy?
This is so random because it's like not readily available, but I love snow caps. Snow caps are these like little chocolate mountains with the white things.
Yes. Where did you get those? I know what you're talking about, but you don't see them.
Well, okay, because we used to have a Blockbuster down the street growing up as a little kid, and it was our weekend activity. We'd go with my dad, we'd find a movie rental, and I would get my snow caps, and they just like don't exist anymore. So I have to find a new favorite, but I think it's like the nostalgia for me.
I hear you. And throwback, you said Blockbuster, and you had
Major throwback.
the good old days back then. So what was your first job?
So my first job was working as a camp counselor, at 15. And then my first professional job, I don't know if we would count internships, but I did intern at the Today Show in DC with Savannah Guthrie and Chuck Todd. And it was such an incredible experience. It was 4 months. I know you're in DC. I loved it. It is one of my favorite cities. And so that was an amazing experience.
That sounds like an awesome job, especially in the field that you were in or moving into at the time. That's a big deal. Big deal. And it's funny because my next question is, what's your favorite season? And we just talked earlier at the top of the show about you're not getting those seasons in Miami. So normally, what's your favorite season?
But my favorite season is summer. I know people feel like it's too hot. I'm like, bring the heat, bring the pool, bring the beach. Like, I love it. It is my favorite.
That's the exact opposite of mine. So you are very much well accomplished. You've done a lot of great things in your career and your personal life. But what is something on your bucket list?
Something on my bucket list, professionally or personally?
Whatever you got, just give it to me.
Okay. Wow. I mean, I personally would love to go just travel more. I would love to go to Asia and Indonesia, and there's so many places I want to go. And then professionally, I'm always thinking about ways to make more money. I dream about money. I want more money. I want to pay my team more money. So
I love it, Katie. I love it.
yes, that's what I dream about. Just money falling from trees.
Oh man, I love it. And I just love the drive. I honestly do. And I love how you mentioned you want to pay it forward. So pay your team. It's not like you're like, give me all the money. You want to make sure everyone around you is taken care of. And I think that speaks volumes about the person that you are. So that's awesome. So Katie, where can our well-rounders find you on the web?
You can find me at Katie Love Social across all social media platforms. Our website is loveyoursocialmedia.com. You can also follow our business page where we're putting out tips all the time on social media at Love Your Social Media.
Yes, you guys, her IG is popping, so make sure you go check it out, get some tips, and let Katie know that you heard her here on the podcast. Thank you, Katie, for sharing with our well-rounders. I'm amped up. I'm ready to implement. I got my notes ready to go. And so I'm going to start tracking analytics and all the things and definitely make it social media a priority in the new year. And friends, if you learned something today as well, make sure you leave us a review and slide into Katie's DMs and let her know that you learned something from her today as well. And I think we are good to go because I've got some work to do. But until next time, friends, I want you to stay safe, stay positive, and focus on what matters most. Bye.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for kicking it with us, Well-Rounder. Share this goodness with your squad and drop us a quick review. Get notified of new episodes by hitting the subscribe button. Until next time, seek a well-rounded life and remember to focus on what matters most.